it's time for another verb of the day. Today's verb is infer. Let's take a look at the meaning for this verb. Infer means to reach a conclusion using evidence and reasoning rather than reaching that conclusion from clear statements or clear information. And this might be a new word for you, so I thought we might be able to best discuss what it means by sort of using it in an example. So if you take a look at the bottom of the screen, I have a picture, right? And we can see that, I see some facial here, so I'm going to say it's a man, looks to be eating and using a cell phone. So some people might look at this picture and reach the conclusion that he is very busy, right? Maybe he's working on his phone and trying to eat at the same time. Other people might look at that picture and reach the conclusion that he must be eating alone. There's no one else to talk to. That's why he's on his cell phone. So here, again, we're using evidence, the picture, and either our own ideas and beliefs and experiences to reach a conclusion. Infer is a verb that you'll hear in many academic settings. So if you're studying for your high school diploma or taking collegiate courses, this verb is something that is used often, particularly when reading, right? You're reading a story and you're thinking about what's going to happen next or what might have happened that was not clearly stated. Infer is a regular verb. To make the progressive form, we're going to double the last consonant because this verb ends in consonant, vowel, consonant, and then add ing, inferring. The past tense and participle forms will also have a second R before we add ed. And because R is a voiced consonant, the ed is going to make a D sound. Inferred, inferred. I only have one phrasal verb for us to look at today. And the meaning of it is still connected to the original meaning. I did want to identify how you might see this verb used with the preposition from. So one way we use infer as a phrasal verb is to infer something, or I might say one thing, from something else or a second thing. And again, it just means that we're reaching a conclusion using someone's word, things we can observe in a situation, or some other type of information. So let's take a look at an example sentence. They shouldn't infer anything from her comments. So here we have our modal should. It's giving us advice, telling us kind of what would be best for us to do in this situation. And perhaps someone's word sounded really negative. We're thinking, oh no, something bad is going to happen. But the sentence here is telling us don't reach that conclusion based on the comments. We'll continue practicing using our verb infer. And today we're going to look at past ability, present ability, and future ability. And I chose this because I think, particularly in a question format, is how you might hear this verb being used. You might have a teacher or professor ask you about what you can infer, what are you able to infer. But you might also see statements on tests or quizzes that use this verb. So let's talk about making past ability statements. And there are two ways that we can do that. We can use our modal could and then the base verb, or we can use be able to and then the base verb. And so here, our be verb will be in the past tense. Let's take a look at two examples. The sentences I have here are really going to have the exact same meaning. I'm just trying to present different ways that you can express a past ability. Here's an example sentence. Astronomers could infer the black hole's presence. Astronomers were able to infer the black hole's presence. So in case astronomer is a new word for you, it's a type of scientist that studies the planets, the stars, our galaxies, and everything else that comes along with it. So here, they were able to reach a conclusion based on other information or observations that they had. If I want to express a negative past ability, I'm going to insert not after could, so I'll have could not in the base verb, or the not will go after the past tense form of be. So was not able to infer, were not able to infer, depending on our subject. Here are two example sentences. She couldn't infer that a theft had occurred. She wasn't able to infer that a theft had occurred. If I want to ask a question to determine whether someone was able to infer something, I can use the modal could, start my sentence there, could, then the subject, and then the base verb. Or I can use a past tense form of be, then my subject, able to, and our base verb. Here are two examples. Could he infer what happened next? Was he able to infer what happened next? Next, let's talk about present ability. To express this idea or concept, we're going to use the modal can and then the base verb. A second way we can talk about present ability is to use be able to, and this time we'll continue to use the present form of the be verb. Here are two affirmative examples. Artificial intelligence can infer people's personalities. Artificial intelligence is able to infer people's personality. And again, this phrase artificial intelligence could be new for you. What it's talking about is computers' ability to mimic certain actions like a human, right? So that would be the ability to talk or voice recognition, making decisions based on information. If I want to talk about ability, but in a negative sense in the present, then I'm going to insert not after my modal or not after the be verb. Here are two examples. We can't infer the cause of the illness. We are able to infer the cause of the illness. To ask a question in the present about someone's ability, we could start with a modal, then our subject, then the base verb, or we can use our present form of be, then the subject, then able to infer. Here are two examples. Can you infer someone's intentions? Are you able to infer someone's intentions? Lastly, let's take a look at future ability. We're going to continue to use the modal can to talk about things we are able to do in the future. For the second way, using that be able to, we're going to use will be to signal that it's future. Here are two examples. They can infer the story's inspiration after reading it. They will be able to infer the story's inspiration after reading it. If I want to make a negative statement about ability in the future, again, I'm going to insert not after my modal or not after will. Here are two examples. We can't infer for ourselves. we won't be able to infer for ourselves. Lastly, if I want to make a question, I can start with my modal, then the subject, and then infer. Or I can start with will, then the subject, and be able to, and then the base verb. Here are 2 examples. Can you infer the meaning of words from the context? Will you be able to infer the meaning of words from the context? Next, let's take a look at some words that are related to our verb infer. The first is a noun. It's the word inference, and it means a conclusion reached based on evidence and reasoning. So it connects very naturally to the meaning of the verb we've been discussing. Here's inference in an example sentence. What inferences can we draw from this data? So again, using this evidence, this information. Another related word is inferential. It's an adjective, and it means relating to, involving, or resembling an inference. Here it is in a sentence. They took issue with the inferential evidence used to support the claim of dishonesty. So here, took issue would have a similar meaning to they had a problem, or they were voicing that there is a problem, using evidence based on an inference. Lastly, we'll look at another adjective. It's inferable, and it means able to be inferred or implied. Here it is in an example sentence. The show has been delayed for the foreseeable future, which is inferable from the interruption caused to all business due to the pandemic. My last 2 example sentences here were taken from news articles in the last month or so. Thanks so much for watching today's video. I hope you have a great day.